where did this come from? Where did the idea come from? Maybe we can start there. And then, was this something you really this was 100% on your own? You said, it's time for me to take this leap, which, we hear a lot of people talk about it can be a difficult thing to do, right? I mean, I think you talked about having, some capital investment or having something to fall back on, but, where were you when this idea came to fruition and when you knew you wanted to move forward with it?
Sure. So I'll take you back to the Purchase Pro days, and we had went public, and I moved down to San Diego, was able to, again, sell a few shares off. And so what I decided is, hey, I sold a few shares off, and I'm going to just chill out and not do anything. And so what I did is, and I'm going to sidestep just a little bit and tell you, because there's a lesson here that I learned, again, personally for me. So I was 28, 29 at the time, did our IPO, everything was great, and I said, oh, great, look, I'm the man. It's a guy thing, right? You know what I'm talking about. Oh, look at me, I'm so cool. And what I did is I said, oh, well, I'll just kind of kick back now. And I've been working my ass off, just day after day, and then this happened. I was like, oh, great, I can just chill now. And what I did is I had this attitude. I remember writing just in my own personal journal. I remember writing and going, what I had done then is I had decided that it's time for me just to kind of chill, kick back, and let the game come to me instead of me going to the game, right? And I did that for about 6 months. And I remember one day a buddy of mine called me, and he had started a business and was looking for some advice. And he started asking me some questions. And I couldn't give him any answers. Like, my brain had atrophied. Like, I wasn't as smart as what I used to be. Not that I was smart before, but now I was really not smart. And I figured out that I was actually getting weaker by not challenging my brain every day and actually working on something. And I came to the realization that I was meant to be gainfully employed, even if it's myself. And this idea of coasting, it sounds cool. Hey, just go sit on a beach and go to Mission Beach and hang out and goof off. It's not that cool. It really isn't, especially if you are motivated to do something. So that was a big lesson that I learned, was that coasting for me is a terrible idea. Like, I'm not satisfied personally when I coast. So I came to this realization and decided that I wanted to do something again, and I was ready to get back in. It took 5 or 6 months, and I'm ready. Okay. So I had been just thinking about kind of what I wanted to do, and I wasn't exactly sure. So what I really want to do, first of all, is I want to join a rock band. So awesome. That's what I want to do. Right. And so I come from a very musically oriented family. Again, my dad being a pastor of a Pentecostal church, we grew up playing instruments. My parents cut records. My grandparents cut records. All my brothers are still players in church. I'm kind of the least musically oriented and talented, quite frankly, out of all of them. They're very good. I'm not. But I said, well, I've got a little bit of talent. I'm going to join a rock band. So I started a rock band here in San Diego and traveled around for 2.5 years. There were 4 of us in the band, and alternative rock. 2 albums on iTunes. You can check it out.
What's the name of the band?
Across the Room. It's kind of like 90s rock. Its time has passed, truthfully. But we had a ton of fun. Wrote a ton of songs, and really got to experience just my own inner emotion. And while we were playing, I was thinking again just how the internet was shaping up, and I had seen kind of product move to the web in a really big way, and I thought, man, at some point, services is going to move to the web in a big way. Mm-hmm. So this was playing in my mind, and our 4-piece band, we had a drummer, a guitarist, a bassist, and then I was the lead singer. And our guitarist ended up in jail. I didn't know, he stole something from someone. So then we were down to 3 people, and then our bass player had issues with his wife and then his mistress, so that, it's typical rock band. So then he went away to Michigan or something like that. So then there was just 2 of us, me and Enrique. And Enrique was really good. He had a master's degree in music performance, an incredible drummer, and not only that, but just a beautiful person. And so we were doing the White Stripes thing, playing gigs, And I remember there was a gig up in Encinitas at the E Street Cafe. It was a Sunday afternoon. You've been there? Yeah? Okay. Just a little coffee shop, and we were doing an acoustic set. And after the gig, we went over to the margarita place across the road and started drinking, which is what we did normally. And he said, "Hey, Stephen, I've got some news for you. I've got to quit the band." I'm like, "Well, you're the only one any good. If you quit the band, this is not going to be good for the band." So, I started talking with him. And I said, well, what's going on? Why do you have to quit the band? And he said, well, I just got married, and we're trying to buy our first condo up in Encinitas. And I don't know if you've heard, but playing music's not necessarily the best way to make a living around here, but he was really trying. And he said, so I just found out, we're trying to buy this house, and we have our first baby along the way. So I've got to make some really hard choices. And I've studied music my entire life. I live, I breathe music. It's what I want to do, but I can't make a living doing this. So I've talked it over with my wife, and I'm going to quit playing, and I'm going to go be a cook at Chili's restaurant. And my heart just sank. That same feeling you're probably feeling right now. Right? That here is a guy that had studied his entire life to do something that he loves to do. And he can't figure out how to make a living doing that. So he has to go do something that he has to do. And it was gut-wrenching. And so I started talking with Enrique, and I said, hey, well, are you playing other gigs? He said, yeah. And I said, well, are you teaching? He said, well, I've got my poster. It's hanging up at the local drugstore, with the little tabs that they tear off. I said, so I've got that, but no one's really calling me. And I said, well, why don't you use the internet? He said, well, I don't really know how to do that. I'm a musician. Mm-hmm. I said, well, that's my background. That's what I do. Why don't we work on something together, and I'll see if I can help you. And so we started working on this idea of how do you match students and teachers on a local level, and come to find out he had the same problem that literally tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of not only musicians, but freelance independent instructors have all over the nation and all over the world. And it's how do I take my passion and make a business out of it? How do I do something that I love to do instead of something that I have to do? And so it was really out of helping keep Enrique out of Chili's that we wanted to start our business. And I'm happy to report that Enrique never took that job with Chili's. He still teaches for us today. He has 2 beautiful children. And I just talked to him the other day, and he's happy as anything because he's doing something that he loves to do. And that was truly the driver and it's still what we talk about in our company today. Right. How do we help the freelance instructor make a living doing what they love to do by giving an incredible experience to the people?